Hello everybody watching. This is week 2 of Shonen Sunday, the week of March 25th. Last week we reviewed episode 130 of Dragon Ball Super and then episode 828 of One Piece. This time my friend wanted me to go up to him in Washington Heights because he was having a little get together to watch Dragon Ball, the finale of Dragon Ball Super, episode 131. And I said yeah, I was gonna be nice to him and actually go. I just wanted to give you my overall review and impressions of the episode. Okay, so the way that the episode started off was with what I left over last time, which was Jiren fighting Frieza and number 17, which I still feel like it was such a bullshit reason to bring back 17. The reason makes sense at the end of the episode, but you did this whole dramatic, 17 died and he sacrificed himself, which is a great way of showing his character after in the Cell Saga. He was pretty much a dick, although he was very human. He was kind of a dick, and then here it kind of shows that he had a family. In Super, he's had a family, and he just wants to go on his cruise. Oh boy, got his cruise by the end of the show. But I'm skipping ahead. The animation for these fights has been very amazing. So in the past, I want to say 5 episodes. The animation has been a lot better than it normally is, even though it takes a couple hits here and there during the first part of Goku and Jiren's fight. But it's been really good. So they're fighting, and they have Jiren down, and he's like, I give up. I'm not as strong anymore because I used all my energy fighting Goku. And you know what? I'm just going to take this out like I'm supposed to. But then, the Justice Warrior, specifically Toppo, is just like, he gave him the whole Vegeta speech. He's like, even if you don't believe you have any friends, you've got a connection with us, and, riled him up a bit. So then he goes ahead and he fights off Frieza and 17. But then Frieza and 17 kind of hold their own in this weird barrier formation, family Kamehameha style thing they got going on. And then, for some reason, well, not for some reason, but Goku finally has enough rest where he can replace 17 in that little spat. And now it's just Frieza and Goku holding. They're just holding this barrier, to try to break through Jiren's thing. One of the things that I didn't like about that part, and it sounds like I rag on Dragon Ball a lot. I rag on Dragon Ball a lot because it does a lot of things. It's an old show. Like Dragon Ball, even if the new episodes are coming out now, and it's being worked on now, it's coming out now in 2018. The ideas for some of the shit is still pretty old, but then they do shit that is not new, but it just turns it on its head. Like tournament winning, like who wins a tournament or the outcomes of things, and that stuff they like to innovate and change here and there. But everything else they kind of really fucked up at. Like for example, Vegeta's, I've always complained about Vegeta's entire character development has been this huge amazing thing. Like for him being this arrogant, cocky, disgusting, just murderer in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z to now where he's like a complete family man. He thinks about his wife, his 2 kids, and he takes pride in having his family, because essentially Vegeta all he cared about was his family. Those parts of the show where characters grow up, make sense, develop, it's kind of secondary in their head. And I'm starting to blame a lot less on Toriyama himself and more on Toei Animation. In fact, they want to, their business, they want to sell toys. They want to make sure they sell Master Ultra Instinct Goku as a toy. They want to sell Jiren as toys. And I mean, essentially this is a kid's show in Japan. For us, just because we're 20-something, we're watching it doesn't change the fact that their demographic over there is still kids to buy their shit. I don't expect too much on the character development side. It's just the times that they do character development, it ends up being really well, especially with Jiren being like, fuck everybody, fuck friends, I'm gonna kill all your friends because your friends ain't shit. And then by the end of the episode, he's kind of like, all right, friends are kind of needed, to get better, to have trust, to be able to fight each other, to help me become a better fighter. Because by the end of what ends up happening is that not only Goku and Frieza are holding the barrier against him to fight him, but they agree to team up and coordinate their skills and beat up Jiren. And then they did the coolest part. Well, all right, they did a part in which I like a lot, and I wish they kind of went with this concept instead, where they grab Jiren, and all three of them get eliminated at the exact same time, and they left 17 in the ring. So technically, Universe 7 wins. What I would have wanted, being that already 17, my whole gripe about 17 still being alive. If 17 was still dead, it'd be great. The tournament ends up in a tie. The Zenos would be like, well, it was a tie. I'm not gonna erase everything. So you know what? You guys did a good job. I like the way this was really fun. I'm restoring all the universes just because I can, because I'm essentially God. I'm God and future God. So that you know, that way it makes more sense to me. It's very funny, and it's still a like, oh, it was a tie, you know. And I know people don't like ties in fights, but at the same time, Goku, and that would still would have validated that Goku won the fight against Jiren. And to fully eliminate Jiren from the tournament, it took also Frieza to do it too, and it was Goku and Frieza working together. But instead, they played with the really funny, I don't know if it was funny, it was just a different way of doing it, in which they keep 17 alive, and 17 wishes for all the other universes that were erased to be restored. Then the part, how I mentioned that Zeno would have been like, it was a tie, I don't care, you know, everybody comes back to life. The way that they did that was, the Grand Prix said, well, Zeno said he figured he could count on you guys on Universe 7, and if anybody made a selfish wish at the end of the tournament, no matter who won, all the universes would have been erased. But he knew that you would make Universe 7, or eventually Universe 7 would win, and they would make a selfless wish, which is they wish for everybody to be back and pieces restored amongst the universes. And you know, that's different, but it works. Then they end the show in a really shitty way. They end the show in a way where it's just like, they show everybody getting restored. Goku says, hey, I want to fight you again, Jiren. Jiren's like, yeah, sure, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then they all go back to Earth, and they kind of really quickly sum things up of like, everything's good now and everything's good in the world, and you know, we'll just catch up with these guys some other time, because obviously the movie's coming out in December, and if they plan, well, they're gonna do another series. I don't think they're gonna do Dragon Ball Super Season 2. It'll be like Dragon Ball blank, you know, for the next season, or for the next couple chunk of 100 and something episodes. What I kept saying amongst my friends' friends when they were talking was that they honestly believe that the film will be canon, and then continue on, and then the series will continue on. There has not been a single time in Dragon Ball history so far. This could completely change, by the way. I'm not holding them to history, because history can change. But there's not been a single time in which a Dragon Ball film has been canon. Like, even Battle of the Gods and Resurrection of Frieza are not canon movies. They're not. You know why? Because they took those movies and fucking made them into episodes, and then those episodes became canon. The films themselves and whatever happens in those films are not canon. So I know it sounds stupid because they just repurposed it, but you could take very specific lines of dialogue and change them to your TV show to fit your narrative better. So for example, in the movie, even by the end of the first movie, the Battle of the Gods movie, when Goku beats Beerus, well, Goku loses to Beerus, and Beerus leaves, you know, he goes home. Whis tells him, you didn't fight Goku at full strength. He goes, yeah, you know, but he beat me. Well, no, he beat me, but he was like it took like 70% of my energy to beat him, you know? So it's not that he's completely garbage. It's just, you know, it took a lot more effort, but not enough effort. But I see the potential. While in the show, Beerus didn't say any of that shit. Beerus is like, yeah, fuck that. I didn't use him my full strength. He's still garbage to me, you know? Although I respect him, he's still garbage to me. So they could do shit like that for the new film that's coming out in December, which looks great just by the teaser trailer. And I think they announced that the manga that's currently going on, which I think is still in the Tournament of Power, like just a little earlier on, will continue after the Tournament of Power ends, while we're waiting for the movie and the anime to come out. So if you want to catch up, if you want to keep up to date, like how we normally do in anime, where a lot of people are shown in anime, where you read the manga, and as the show is about to come out, like you spoil it for yourself, you can start doing that now with Dragon Ball Super soon. Not very, very soon, but soonish. So we'll get an idea what the next arc will be, so on and so forth. Overall, my impressions of this episode has been like a 5 to 6. Really, the first 3/4 of the episode has been really good, solely on fight wise, but story wise, like, it's lacking. Like, like I said, it's different in the way that I want. Like, it was different in the way that I didn't want it to be, but it was still different. And then they just sum up the end with a bunch of bullshit that didn't matter. So it ends up being a 5 to 6. It doesn't really bother me that much. I mean, I'm always one of those people that hate when somebody bandwagons the fuck out of the show, and also when somebody rides this I think just Dragon Ball has a very specific fan base on top of the sub versus dub argument and all this other stuff. I think Dragon Ball has this very specific kind of fan base in which they're ignorant, or they choose to be ignorant to follies and shit like that. I think people who watch Dragon Ball Super now have, or just Dragon Ball in general, have always not been able to be I shouldn't say everybody, but a great portion of the people that I constantly see who watches Dragon Ball Super cannot be critical of the show that they enjoy. Like, I can be super critical about One Piece, which I have, and I can be super critical of Full Metal Alchemist, which it suffers a lot. There's a lot of bad things about Full Metal Alchemist. It's not perfect, but there's a lot of people, a lot of fans that I know who are diehard Dragon Ball fans and just won't give up, in a sense. Like, they won't be critical of their own fucking show. Then, having an argument or discussion with them makes it pointless or really fucking annoying. So all in all, for the episode 131 of Dragon Ball Super, it was okay.